Hello everyone! Man, it's been a really long time since I've done that. So I may be a little out of practice, but I'm not promising that I'm gonna make a ton more videos in the future. A large part of why I stopped being active on YouTube is most of you are here for J-vlogger type videos, and since I don't live in Japan anymore, there's better sources for you to go look at for Japan information. There is a video that I wanted to make that I feel that I can, as opposed to someone who lives in Japan. So a lot of my viewers, if someone were to ask you point blank, someone did this to me several years ago, but they asked me, why Japan? Why not? This person had gone to study abroad in China, and she was essentially saying, why are you choosing Japan? She kept challenging me to find the reason why I wanted Japan. And I think now, several years later, I've come to that conclusion. And my conclusion was, it's a very different culture, and I'd lived in America my entire life, and I wanted to see a different culture. And there is something about the Japanese culture in particular that you can observe through its media, through its news, through the people. There's just so many things that you can kind of glean just from observing those things, a certain attitude, I think. And I think that's what drew me to Japan in particular, more so than China or Korea or any of the other Asian countries to go work in. So I think a lot of people have a lot of respect and admiration for Japanese culture. I know I do. And I think a lot of people want to know how they can, how that would actually affect their life. I think that's what a lot of people are looking for when they go and watch these YouTube videos, is they want to see what life is like. They want to know how their lives can be like that. But I think I can reflect on how my time in Japan has influenced the way I act, the way I see things, and things like that. So I've put together the top 5 things as far as personality, interaction, and general outlook, I think, that were really affected and shaped by Japan that I now carry forward in my life in America. So this video is going to come off as kind of preachy, I think. And I'm sorry about that. I don't mean to sound like I'm preaching or lecturing. These are just things that I feel really strongly about and that I really want to get across to you, the viewer, as oh no, if you want the sincere life lessons that I've learned from my time in Japan, here they are. So one of the first major differences I notice is that more so than before, I have an obsession with making sure things look nice. For example, I've got just piles of this washi tape and stuff from Japan, and I still order it now, and I've got just scores of pens and all sorts of colors. I've got my pencil bag, and it's, I really do take care into all of the documents that I make and give to people. And I've had some people comment, oh my god, you put a lot of time into this. And sometimes they say it with admiration, oh, this looks so cute, thank you. And sometimes they sort of say it with a, you must have OCD or something kind of expression in their voice. But I don't know, I find that in general, that's one of my ways of showing now that I care about people, is that I've taken time to make sure that this looks nice for you. And to do that. And then also Japan has an obsession with stationery and cute things and making sure everything around them looks nice. And I think I know why that is. It's just when things around you look nice and work well, and maybe this perspective is coming from my work as a UX designer, but when the things around you look nice and they're pleasant to interact with, it makes you feel pleasant, and it makes you carry that pleasant feeling on into the rest of your day. And so I really think that's a thing Japan has better than us, is, a lot of times we're more practical. We don't really care about how it looks, just so long as it gets the job done. We have a very engineer's perspective on it. But, I do think that there is some value to slowing down a bit and making sure that it looks nice, so that when people do use it in the future, or even just when you look at it, it's good for you. You can look at it and smile and breathe easier. And, I do think that for Japan, that applies to more than just stationery, obviously. Japanese people tend to choose their clothes with more care. The faces at Walmart, or the people you see at Walmart, that would never happen in Japan, because you don't dress like that when you go out in public in Japan. And, they call sweatpants, the room for sweatpants is room pants. to indicate that these are for wearing inside of your room, not like out in public. And you know, I do think that on some level they take that too far with the formality and the clothes and the everything, but I can understand why they do it. When they look nice, but they're still suited to the task and just on point. Things just work well in general, and I do still carry that out through a lot of what I do. Another lesson that I learned in Japan was that nowadays I enjoy walking more, or riding my bike places, or taking commuter trains, and it's just because, you know, it lets you slow down and kind of enjoy life, and because you're going slow, you notice things that you wouldn't before in your environment. I think it was Hayao Miyazaki, the head of Studio Ghibli, who once made a comment that, you know, he was very dismayed when he looked, you know, when he rode the train now, and he saw so many young people now would just, like, have their face in their phone or in their tablet or something. And he thought that, you know, he said, oh, I really think that they're missing out on this opportunity to, like, look at the mountains as you drive by, and look at the scenery, and look at all this stuff. And I do really think that in America we have that problem as well. You know, we're always in such a hurry to get to places, and we drive cars everywhere, which therefore you've sort of got a box surrounding you, and you can't really see at certain angles up where you can't really observe things. And, you know, also because we travel in enclosed metal boxes, you know, we don't experience the elements, we don't experience the outdoors, so that means we lack appreciation of the seasons and the world around us. We live very insular lives in almost every single way. And it's not something I fully realized until I'd spent 3 years in Japan without a car. And, you know, now here in America, I actually drive a moped, but, you know, it's still not quite the same as walking somewhere or riding a bus somewhere and just taking the time to look out the windows of the bus and stuff like that. Just getting to actually observe the world around me and being able to take the time to do that. Because obviously if I'm driving, actively like working on driving something, I can't do that. And I do miss that about Japan. I really do miss getting to take the Shinkansen or the commuter trains and being able to look out the window at like just all sorts of countryside as it flew past. And that is I'm really sad that I can't do that here in America. The third thing I think is that people here don't show enough appreciation, and I think this is one of the number one things people notice when they watch anime or they watch dramas or things like that, is the way Japanese people talk is different. They're more likely to show a genuine feeling or to show their genuine appreciation of something, and normally over here in the West, we just don't do that, and we consider it weird. Like, I think people are almost too embarrassed to do that, to show their real appreciation. It's, you know, it makes people feel vulnerable because you are sort of exposing something of yourself. You're admitting that you appreciated that you needed their help. I really feel like if we took more time to show genuine appreciation of people and a genuine interest in them, we would hear more people talking like we do in anime. They would show more of their intrinsic core being. And I really do feel like, as a country, we need to get better at that. We really do focus, I mean, just look at the current presidential election, and I don't want to talk about that, but like, just look at that, and look at how stupid and just mundane, and just everyone shooting off the cuff, without actually delving into anything. We just delve into whatever stupid thing someone said, and that's how they get popular, is just what they said on the surface. No one really talks about who they are as people, or their motivations, or their backstory, or why they think these things. They just spout gibberish. And, you know, again, it's just, I feel like we could all learn a lesson there. The next one, I think, and I don't know, I know that this derives a lot from my time in Japan, but it could be other things too. An appreciation of, like, seasonal foods and seasonal events and seasonal weather. Because Japan really makes a big deal out of seasons and the passing of time. And I think that probably has to do with the fact that up until about World War II or so, Japan was a pretty agricultural society. That's a very recent shift for Japan, speaking historically. That it's only in the last century that they've really gone to this technological city-type style. And agriculture is still a huge thing for them because they're an island. They if they can't grow it, they have to import it, and that's expensive. So I think it's very important to them. And with that connection to agriculture, of course, means an appreciation and, having to have an understanding in relation to the seasons as they change. So, in Japan, there's all sorts of seasonal only goods. There's limited edition products all the time. But it really makes you aware of oh, it's this season. Yay, I get to do this thing. I miss getting sakura mochi in the spring, and then I miss having oden in the winter, and, just everything that changes by the seasons. I don't know, it was nice. Most people, I think, here in America, have just a sense that time just it's an endless procession. It's just one day after the next, and soon you die. But in Japan, there's clear markers of the evolution of the seasons, and I don't know, it feels like it's easier to stop and appreciate. Oh, okay, it's been this much time. That's nice. Huh, what was I doing this time last year? Oh, that's, I don't know, it's just sort of nice. It's really hard for me to articulate this sort of thing, because I don't know, it's just a feeling, and I don't know quite how to put it into words for you guys. So the last thing I think that is, and it's one of the most important lessons I learned while I was over there, is showing respect to people who are teaching you something, or who are taking time out of their day to show you a thing. Because really, in the modern world, the most important asset anybody has is time. Because we're all so rushed and we're all so busy. That's the most important thing we can give to another person is our time. So, and everybody knows that in Japan, they have a huge respect of teachers and people like that. And it's because they're giving all of their time to this profession, and they're giving all of their knowledge. It's these intangible things that they're trying to give to you, and they're putting all of their devotion into it. And that's why they have so much respect. And I really don't think that, Japan is a capitalist consumerist society as well, but America even more so. And I think to us, it's sort of the feeling that if it's not tangible, it has less value to us on some level. If it's not a thing we can quantify and look at, it's not as valuable. But, education and someone's time are things that you can't put a price on. And, I noticed this, I teach at UT Dallas now, and I noticed, my students normally show me respect, but I had a guest speaker come in, and he was talking, and I noticed a group of my students just talking the entire time while he was lecturing. And I was like, okay, I know that this isn't normal for you guys, because I know how you act when I lecture. What the crap does it matter just because he's not your stated teacher? He's not getting paid to be here. He came in on his own time to come and talk to you people. And you're just showing complete disrespect for him coming to do this nice thing for you. What the crap are you doing? And I tried to, I walked over there multiple times, and I didn't say anything for the first 3 times. But, I got progressively closer to them, and a couple of them noticed, dude, the professor's, right behind your head. You should stop talking. And then finally, the 4th time, I went over and dropped a note saying, you guys are being outstandingly disrespectful. I'm disappointed. I can hear you across the room. Stop doing what you're doing. And, they came up and apologized after, which, good on them for apologizing to me and the guest speaker and owning up to it. But, one of the things they said was oh, well, we don't think we're going into game design, and that's a lot of what you were talking about, so we didn't listen to you. And, my response to them was I'm sorry, you're a freshman at university, you're 18. You realistically have no idea what you're doing yet. Even if you know the field you want to go into, you've all chosen arts and technology in this case, you don't know that you're not going to go into game development. You don't know what's going to strike your interest. This person has at least 10 years on you. They're much older than you. And so, maybe they've learned a thing or two in life and about this program, seeing as how they've gone through it. And you're just going to completely assume, oh, I know everything. I know what I'm doing. I don't need your help. But, I think we might be too far in the direction of like, yeah, new is always better than old. Like, screw old people. They don't know how things work now. They don't know me. They don't know my life. They may not know you or your life specifically, but they know the world that you're currently in. And if you paid more attention to the world that you're currently in, you might also start to learn some of the things that they're trying to tell you. So, I don't know. I think in general we should just pay more attention in this country to the people trying to teach us and trying to help us. Because, they're trying to help. And even if you don't think it's useful, there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting more information in any situation. That about does it for the major important things that I learned during my time there, and the things that I really feel like if you want to live like you're in Japan and you really want to know what's important about that lifestyle, I think those 5 things are a good place to start. Obviously, there's tons of other small things. This in no way encompasses everything. But I wanted to keep this video, under 30 minutes. Alright, it was good to see you guys again, and I hope that was helpful for some of you. See you later!